Hi, my name is Zach. I'm the co-founder of Cart Launch. We help golf cart dealers grow their business. I have, with my partner, a combined decade plus of experience in the industry and have grown golf cart dealerships to 8 figures per year, which is 7 figures per month. And in this video, I want to show you the exact blueprint that we've used to grow the dealership so significantly and so quickly. So let's just jump straight into it. So there are only 2 ways to grow your dealership. And every other way that you can think of to make money is going to fit into one of these 2 categories as a subcategory. So those 2 ways are conversions and traffic. Okay. So the one I'm going to start with, and I'll tell you why in just a second, is conversions. So let's go down this way. Conversions are simply how much of your traffic turns into real leads or sales. So you can increase conversions in every single part of the client acquisition process. So just for example, if you were to double your conversions, in literally just one of these categories, it could actually double your entire yearly sales. And it can be as simple as just fixing this stuff on your website. So this is something that doesn't inherently cost money to do. And most people have traffic already on some level coming into their dealership. They're just not capitalizing on it fully. So they're losing money that is already supposed to be theirs. And they're often just losing it to the competition. So it's going out of your pocket and into your competitor's pocket because you guys are not optimizing for conversions. So this is the first step I like to start people on, unless you don't have any traffic, in which case you do need to get some traffic because nobody has the opportunity to convert. So here's each step where you can increase your conversions, because you can do this in every single step in your sales cycle here, really. So turning lookers into website visitors. These could be people visiting your Facebook page, your Google business profile, seeing an ad that you're running. If you are running ads, there's a lot of different ways that people can do this. So lookers turning into actual website visitors. You need them to get on your website. Now, then from there, you need these website visitors to actually turn into leads. Now, from those leads, you need as high a percentage as possible of them to actually turn into appointments. Now, you need to then pre-sell these customers before they come into the showroom, which is going to increase your show rate and your closing rate. It's going to set you apart from the competition, which does both of those things. Again, pre-selling, don't wait till they get in to actually try and sell them on stuff. That's just, you're just asking for it there, and your chances of actually closing them or they even coming at all goes down a lot if you're not pre-selling. Then you can increase your salespeople's closing rates from there of the people who do show up, and then asking for reviews, which will automatically reset this cycle. So asking for reviews at the end of the sale, you can see every arrow leads down to the next. When you ask for reviews, actually loops this entire cycle around of turning more lookers into website visitors, because it will get more lookers and it will convince them to actually click on your website if you have more and better reviews. So this is a full cycle. Now, this is how your dealership can turn into an absolute sales machine. And it's always optimized for the conversions, like I said, before adding more traffic, unless you're starting with no traffic at all. Make sense? So we want to start where we have the most leverage. Like I said before, if you take a 1% conversion rate and you increase that to a 2% conversion rate, that might not sound like anything significant, but because you can work so high up on the funnel here and have so much leverage, just something like that could literally double your entire business. It could double every lead, all the leads that you get for an entire year, which doubles your sales, which doubles your profit, doubles your referrals, your reviews, and it could really compound as a massive thing. But most people don't think about this stuff. They just try to increase the closing rate, and that's it. So essentially, you want to leverage the traffic that already exists and it's already there, just to not lose as many sales as possible. Chances are you're losing out on sales. Most people are. So doing this, you want to increase the amount of traffic through people that are finding your Facebook page, searching on Google, or clicking on ads that you may or may not be running. And you want to increase the amount of traffic that actually goes to your website. So for example, you might get 10,000 people a month that see a combined Google business profile, Facebook page, and ad. Every avenue that you have where someone even has the opportunity to click to your website, you might get 10,000 views on those. Now, of those 10,000, hypothetically, and I'm just putting these numbers in here to illustrate, these are not specific numbers, but I'm trying to illustrate a point here of how views can turn into sales. So you get those 10,000 views. Now, of those, say 5,000 people actually click onto your website. And so half those people are actually clicking onto your website there. So you need to increase then the amount of website visitors that are going to turn into leads from that. So you're getting 5,000 website visits. Now you need to increase the amount of leads. Now, say, for example, 70 people submit leads. From then, you need to, in the next phase, you need to increase the amount of leads that turn to appointments. Let's say that out of those 70 leads, you get 45 booked appointments. Now, you need to work on pre-selling these customers before they come in the showroom to actually increase the show rate and really the closing rate too, ultimately. Then from there, you get to pitch 30 people of those 45, because there are going to be some people that don't show. Now, from there, you need to increase your closing rate, would be the next stage down the funnel. You're getting to pitch people. You need to increase the amount of people that are actually closing. You could say, for example, those 30 pitches turn to 20 sales. From there, you need to ask for reviews automatically to reset the cycle. So then those 20 sales can turn into 12 reviews, which again, like I said before, increases the amount of traffic that goes to all of the avenues that someone can click your website, increasing this number here, which increases everything that trickles down all the way through. The highest leverage that you have is the highest part up here on the funnel. Most people are so focused on this part of the funnel right here, increasing your salespeople closing rates. You can only control so much. If your closing rate goes up 10%, for a lot of people, that only means you make an extra sale a month. Now, you turn this up 1%, or you double this up there from 1 to 2%. This could literally double everything below it. So this is the highest leverage part, and it works down to the lowest leverage part. So it's really important to think of this as a trickle down effect. Once you're confident that you can convert traffic and you aren't losing half or more of your business from poor conversions, then we can worry about increasing traffic into the future here. Okay, does that all make sense? All right, so that's pretty much just going through everything as far as increasing your conversions here. Now let's get into the traffic. Once you've got all of this stuff locked in here, I want to jump into traffic. Let's go up here. So like I said, there's two ways to grow it. Let's go to this column here talking about traffic. So traffic simply means the amount of people interacting with your dealership in a given time frame. So this can be, like I said, website visits, Facebook page visits, phone calls, walk-ins. Any way that a customer is interacting with your business is traffic. So there is essentially 4 buckets that all traffic are going to fit into. So your past customers, high intent people that are already looking. So you've got your paid online or interrupt traffic, and then your local and offline traffic. Okay, so first thing to go over here is your past customers. Your past customers, the reason I want to start there is because that is the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest place for you to get more traffic, meaning these people already know who you are. They already trust you. They've already done business with you, and they can refer in other people, for example, that know you through friends and will inherently trust you. They will be some of the easiest sales that you'll make ever. You don't have to even have crazy good online presence or anything just to get referrals, as you know. Now, so this is the lowest hanging fruit, and then we're going to work our way to the bigger and bigger ways to actually get more traffic. So this is just easy because if you've sold golf carts to people, chances are you have their information, being their phone number, their name, their email, their address. I mean, you can literally do a text campaign. Now, there's ways to do this one by one, where you just formulate a text message that's meant to reactivate people and find out if they have referrals, because often these people live in communities where everyone's buying golf carts. This is really overlooked, and it's just so easy to generate more business immediately that I just think everyone should start there. Now, you can do this through texting one by one. You can send a mass text campaign to everybody at once if you want to save a bunch of time. You could do mass email campaigns, or like I said, send them one by one. There's a lot of softwares out there that allow you to do this. Calling through everybody on a list, that's pretty simple. Just dial the numbers. You can get auto dialers. That'll make this super, super fast. You can knock out hundreds of people a day. Or because you'll have these people's addresses a lot of times, sending direct mailers to their house or just to that whole community. You see somebody's in a really nice community where everyone drives golf carts. You can send direct mailers, not just to that one house, but to everybody. This is really, really good for, trade-ins or you're doing referral credits where they can get a company credit. You can get really creative with this, but anything to drive business in based on the people's information that you've already have from people you've already sold. So this is the lowest hanging fruit. If you've sold some golf carts, you have some past customers, and you can almost always find ways to stir up business for next to no money at the very beginning, which will increase traffic, whether it's phone calls, walk-ins, website visits, etc. So the next section, this is going to be high intent people that are already looking for a golf cart dealership. So really good examples of this are, people that are Googling things. For example, they're Googling golf cart dealers near me. These are people that have, if they're Googling that, a very high intent of buying a golf cart from somebody in their local area. So you need to make sure that you are showing up, and specifically you are showing up above your competition. So this is really important. You want to have a Google business profile. You want to have this filled out and optimized. Really good to have a lot of reviews on there is the number one thing. Past that, make sure that you're in the correct main category, so you're showing up and Google knows to pop you up at the top of your Google business profile. Being a golf cart dealer, you want to have a website. And a tip on this, you want to follow every step to increase the conversions of your website. I've made entire videos on this before. They're free out there, so just watch them. If you've got a website, make sure you're checking every box in those videos to make sure it's optimized to convert traffic. You want to have a Facebook business page. Now, on this page, you're going to want to make sure, obviously, you have the right category and your website is linked to every part. You're posting valuable content regularly and directing traffic to your website. So when people are looking, it's easy to find. You want to be running SEO in some way, shape, or form. There are paid ways and free ways to do this. SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is going to make sure that you're ranking as high as possible on Google. It's a bit of a long-term strategy, but it is important to do. And then Google ads, because like I said, a lot of this traffic of people who are searching for golf cart dealers that are high intent is going to come from Google. A lot of times you want to make sure you're running Google ads, because even if your SEO isn't, having you naturally rank at the very top and your website isn't perfect and your Google business profile isn't perfectly optimized and you don't have a Facebook page, if you're running Google ads, you're literally paying to show up at the top and you're going to get a percentage of that traffic. It just costs money to get it. So again, these are people who are already actively in the market and looking for a place to buy a golf cart. And now the upside of this is how high intent these people are. They're typically easier sales. They're already kind of have done some research. They're going to buy one from somebody. You just need to be the one they buy it from. The downside is you are limited by the amount of people who are searching. So if there's only 200 people in your local area that are looking up golf carts for sale near me, and all of them find you, that's still only 200 people that are going to go to your website. That's still not that much. And if there's 50 people, that's 50 people. If there's 10,000 people, then it could be all 10,000. But you're just limited, and this changes with the seasons, the time of year, the economy. This is just kind of, you don't have a lot of control over the traffic, but you just want to make sure that you're capturing the existing traffic that is there. Now, one phase up on this is going to be your paid online traffic. So a few methods of this would be like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, retargeting ads, and display ads. So the reason that I have the word interrupt in here is because these are not necessarily people who are actively searching for golf cart dealers, but this is highly targeted advertisement that's showing to the demographic of people that are likely to purchase golf carts from you. So it's not necessarily waiting for people to search. You're actually getting people before they're even going and searching. So Facebook ads, you can target by demographic. Instagram ads is kind of the same thing. Retargeting ads, you can retarget people who have engaged with your initial ads there with different types of advertising that is made to build more trust and get them to move to the next step. Display ads, typically, through Google, can be just displayed. Like if you've ever seen a box with a random EasyGo ad, when you're just on a website that has nothing to do with EasyGo, that would be like a display ad, and it takes you to the website. So these are people who are highly targeted. They've been thinking about getting a golf cart, but they haven't been searching. And the cool part of this is, even though these people are going to be a little bit less ready to go and give you money, and they might buy one, they might not buy one, the really cool part about it is you are not limited by search volume. It does not matter. You're paying to show these ads to as many people as possible. So no matter what time of year it is, no matter how much search volume you're getting from Google, you can really scale off of these ads. This is where it gets really exciting. These are the most scalable ads, but you have to kind of lock in these first two steps before you just jump straight to the paid ads. Now, one phase further up the funnel, and as I'm going up this funnel, the intent is getting lower, but the scalability is getting higher. So you have TV ads, radio ads, magazines, billboards, local events. I find a lot of dealers that I talk to like to skip straight to this step. They open up a dealership, they have a terrible website, they have next to no reviews, and now they're running radio ads or something like that. And I tend to find this to be skipping a lot of steps, and everyone tells me the same thing, is that, hey, I'm not really getting anything from it. I'm spending a bunch of money, I'm not getting much from it. Same thing, they like to be in the local magazine. That's great. These are for really broad campaigns, overall brand awareness, but it's really hard to track conversions. It's really hard to track how much money you have spent versus exactly how many people have viewed it, how much return, how many people went to your website from these. It's really, really hard to track. You don't know always what's working and what's not working. And it's pretty high up on the funnel. I usually recommend having those first three steps locked in before you worry about stuff like this. A lot of people skip straight to it. Every step that I've done before in here, it's really easy to measure how much money is spent versus how much is returned. And that's super important while you're getting all of those steps figured out. So I don't really recommend starting with that. So start with the lowest hanging fruit, which is usually people that are already searching for a golf cart, or even just the people, like I said, in the reactivation campaign. But start with the lowest hanging fruit, people that are searching for a golf cart, and then you can increase high intent traffic, but you're limited by the search volume in your current market. Like I said, next you want to, and I just want to reiterate all this stuff. Next, you can add proven and targeted interruption-based ads. This is where it feels like you're creating your own demand. This is where it gets really exciting, is this phase of it here. This is where you're really starting to get to the next level. So when it's done right, you can increase the traffic, you can track every step of the process, and you can know how many people have seen your ads, how much it costs per lead. It's very precise, but there's also a bigger room for error because you actually have to understand advertising in order to do this step to a certain extent. I have to understand what gets people to stop. Now, next is local advertising. It's great, but the only downside is you just can't always really measure the results. This is usually more brand awareness than anything. It's a long-term strategy. It's not something that's always going to help you this month, but it can definitely help you in the grand scheme of owning a business. So I do recommend it for some people, but just not for everybody in every phase of business. And then now the past customers, again, this loops back around. So when you're reactivating these past customers, again, some of the easiest sales you're going to make, you can do this through text, email, phone call, direct mail campaigns. These are usually done, like I said, to get more trade-ins, referrals, service work, reviews. You're very, very limited by volume, but this is where it loops around, is because when you're using these other methods of traffic to get more sales, you are going to have more past customers. And with more past customers, you can reactivate more people and get more referrals. So it just does a full loop. That can be the first step or the last step, but it's just a circle. So it doesn't really matter. So I typically recommend dealers start with the highest intent first and then work your way backwards. Once dealers figure out how to run paid ads profitably, without attracting a bunch of tire kickers or time wasters, they can grow exponentially. So let's just kind of wrap this whole thing up here. We've gone over the two ways that you can grow your dealership, but what is the real actionable game plan? I don't want this to just be a bunch of information thrown at you. I want you to have an actionable game plan that you can take away from this and implement here. So first, increase the conversions where you already have the most traffic. You don't have to spend money necessarily to increase your conversions, and most people are really poorly optimizing for conversions. So past that, you can keep increasing conversions across all parts of the customer acquisition process. So you start at the top there, like I said, where you're getting all those thousands of views, and you work your way down to the sales process and everything like that. Again, most people do these steps backwards, and then they wonder why they're so confused or why they're putting so much effort in and they just don't seem to be pulling anything back from it, is what I notice a lot. Like a lot of people are just running TV ads right after opening their dealership up, and they don't even have all the other steps figured out. Or they're just trying to get their salespeople to close at 10% higher when their website is losing 50 leads a month. There's just more important things to worry about first. They're all important, but you got to do it in the right order. So increase the conversions across all parts of the customer acquisition process. Start from the top that I went over and work your way down. Then you want to get the high intent traffic from customers who are already searching for you. Those are just going to be the easiest ones to close and the easiest ones to get. You want to add paid traffic to increase your sales exponentially and not limit yourself to your current search volume. So once you're kind of maxing out this high intent traffic up here, now you're just going to start paying for more traffic, is essentially what you're doing. You do have to know a little bit more about advertising and how to do this correctly. I've got videos on exactly how to do this. So if you are on this step, watch one of those. It's free. Just check it out. It walks you exactly through how to do that. Now, past that, you can run any other form of advertising for brand awareness. Now, it's once you're maxing out all of these steps, which is pretty far, usually pretty large companies now need to worry about just brand awareness, just spending money because sometime in the next 5 years, it's all going to come back to you tenfold. That's going to be bigger companies, longer term pictures, people that don't need to spend money and see an immediate and measurable return on it, if that makes sense. So this is further down the line. And then past that, like I said, you just need to get more reviews from all these sales, more referrals, more reactivations from all these sales here, because it just makes the whole thing loop back around. It just feeds its own cycle, and it is how you just exponentially grow over time when you're doing all these steps here. Now, when you are mastering all of those, that is how you monopolize a market. The absolute best guys that you're looking at, and you always wonder, how are they doing it? What are they doing? How did they grow so fast? How did they open so many dealerships so quickly, even though they're a new company? How is it that they're making so many sales? How is it that all of the business in the local area seems to go to them and not me when I provide just as good of a service and I'm a more respectable company, and so on and so forth? when you're trying to figure it out, this is the answer. This is why they are where they are. This is why they're ahead of you, is because they understand the order in which to do things, and they understand what to do and the order in which to do it, and they're doing it methodically and going down. So this is just an inside peek on exactly, like I said, what we had used in order to, scale all this in the dealerships that, we worked with, and how to scale them up to 8-figure per year dealerships. And it was through these exact steps that I've done in real time. So if you want to see these steps in action, you can click the link in the description to access the full case study of how we helped the dealer sell 72 additional carts in just 45 days of working with them following this exact method. So click the link and check it out if you want to get more information on seeing this in real time.